The crimson waters of Rio Stellaris reflected the twin suns of Zephyria Prime as Empress Vexthera stood on her floating palace's observation deck. Her forearms trembled with rage, her crystalline eyes blazing as she held a small, whimpering creature. "Useless!" she hissed, her voice carrying the authority of someone who ruled 17 star systems. "A dragon that cannot fly is no dragon at all." The tiny being in her grasp was no larger than a house cat, with iridescent scales that shimmered between purple and gold. Its wings, barely developed, fluttered uselessly as it mewled in terror. This was Spark, her prized celestial dragon, a creature worth more than most planets now deemed worthless by its owner. Without ceremony, Empress Vexthara hurled Spark into the rushing waters below. "Let the currents decide your fate, disappointment." The small dragon hit the water with a splash that went unnoticed by the Empress as she turned away, already dismissing the creature from her mind. But someone else had witnessed the cruel act. Jackson Martinez had been collecting water samples near the riverbank when he saw the splash. The human xenobiologist, stationed on Zephyria Prime as part of the Galactic Research Initiative, dropped his equipment and dove into the crimson waters without hesitation. The current was stronger than expected, and the alien minerals in the water stung his eyes, but Jackson's determination never wavered. Growing up in Earth's Amazon basin had taught him to respect water and navigate its dangers. He surfaced, gasping, with the tiny dragon clutched against his chest. "Hey there, little one," Jackson whispered, treading water as he examined the creature. Despite being thrown from such a height, Spark seemed more frightened than injured. "Let's get you somewhere safe." Jackson swam to shore, his clothes heavy with the strange water. The dragon clung to his shirt with tiny claws, its large eyes like liquid starlight, staring up at him with a mixture of fear and curiosity. "Jackson!" Lily Chen, his research partner and the team's linguist, came running from their temporary camp. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical bun, and her portable translator hummed softly at her throat. "What happened?" "You're soaked. Someone threw this little guy into the river," Jackson explained, gently transferring the dragon to a soft towel Lily had grabbed from their supplies. "Some kind of dragon species, I think, but the wings look underdeveloped." Lily's expression hardened as she activated her scanner. "Bio-readings indicate this is a celestial dragon. They're incredibly rare and valuable. Someone actually threw this baby away?" Her voice carried the same protective fury that Jackson felt. As they set up a makeshift habitat for Spark using their research equipment, something extraordinary began to happen. The dragon, initially weak and traumatized, started to respond to their care with remarkable intelligence. When Jackson offered it water, Spark touched the container with one tiny claw and somehow purified it, removing the harsh minerals that made it barely drinkable for humans. "Did you see that?" Lily breathed, her scanner going wild with readings. Over the following days, Spark's abilities continued to manifest in ways that defied everything the galactic databases said about celestial dragons. The creature couldn't fly, but it could manipulate energy in ways that seemed almost magical. When Jackson cut his hand on a sharp rock, Spark's gentle touch accelerated the healing process. When their communication equipment malfunctioned during a storm, the dragon somehow amplified Lily's translator, allowing them to call for help. "The databases are wrong," Lily said one evening as they watched Spark play with bioluminescent stones, causing them to glow brighter and change colors. "This isn't a defective dragon. It's evolved beyond what anyone thought possible." Jackson nodded, gently stroking Spark's head. "Maybe that's why someone threw him away. They were looking for a weapon or a trophy, but Spark here is something much more special. A healer, a helper." Their peaceful research was interrupted when Imperial ships descended from the sky. Empress Vexithara had returned, flanked by her royal guard. Her four arms gestured imperiously as she approached their camp. "Humans," she said, the word dripping with disdain. "Return my property immediately." "Your property?" Jackson stood slowly, placing himself between the Empress and where Spark was hiding behind their equipment. "You mean the creature you tried to murder?" Lily stepped forward, her translator working overtime to capture the Empress's complex emotional undertones. "According to Galactic Law Section 47B, abandonment of a sentient being constitutes forfeiture of ownership rights." The Empress's crystalline eyes flared. "That creature is worthless." "It cannot fly." "Can't fly, maybe, Jackson said, his voice steady despite facing someone who could order his death with a word. But he can do something much more important. He can heal. He can bring hope. He can make the impossible possible just by caring. As if responding to Jackson's words, Spark emerged from hiding. The dragon had grown significantly in the weeks since his rescue, his scales now gleaming with an inner light. He moved to Jackson's side, not cowering but standing proud. "You see only what Spark cannot do," Lily added, her scientific mind making the case. "But humans see potential. We see worth that isn't measured in power or perfection." Empress Vexithara stared at the dragon, perhaps seeing him clearly for the first time. Spark looked back at her without fear, then did something that shocked everyone present. He sang. The sound was like crystalline wind chimes mixed with distant whale song, and it carried emotions too complex for translation. Forgiveness, hope, and an invitation to see beauty beyond conventional expectations. The Empress was silent for a long moment. Then, to everyone's surprise, she knelt down to Spark's level. "Perhaps," she said quietly, "I have been looking for the wrong kind of miracle." Jackson smiled, understanding that some victories couldn't be measured in strength or conquest. Sometimes the greatest triumph was simply showing someone that worth isn't determined by meeting others' expectations, but by the capacity to love and be loved in return. And in that moment, watching an alien empress learn compassion from a flightless dragon and two humans who refused to give up on the seemingly hopeless, Spark's wings, small as they were, finally caught the light and lifted him gently into the air. Not because he had suddenly become what others expected, but because he had always been exactly what he was meant to be.